Well, hello, lovely listeners. Today we have the gorgeous Andre Paradis. Andre is a former dancer, professional dancer, which I'm intrigued to hear about. He says in his bio that he's had a tough childhood, so I'm also intrigued to hear about that. But he is now a man after my own heart. He's an inspirational relationship coach, and teaching is one of his passions. He has taught in Japan to Bangkok, and all the way back. And in 2006, began studying the dynamics between men and women purely out of curiosity, but discovered something extraordinary. So, I mean, we all talk about relationships, don't we? And struggle in relationships, and very few seem to ever get it right, and all of that kind of thing. So I'm intrigued with all of this. And so you have spent a lot of time researching, and the message that came through for you was just too powerful to keep to yourself. And so you created something called Project Equinox. And this is a mission to share all the knowledge that you've gained in the world. So you said you're now considered in the third phase of life. What does that mean? What's the third phase of life?
Oh, good morning, good afternoon for you. But there's been three phases in my life. So there was my original phase I started
Dancer.
dancing. I started dancing as a teenager, and I did that for almost 20 years. Where I became a professional dancer. I danced with Michael Jackson, Prince, Paula Abdul, Julio Iglesias. I went from my little hometown in Canada, moved to Los Angeles, and kind of got to the top. And that was an incredibly fun adventure. But the point of that was really that dancing saved my life. That's the way that's the only thing that would lift my spirit and made me want to get up the next day. And so I just because I didn't think I was going to be here long back in the days. I didn't think I was going to be long because the circumstances of my family, the way I was born, the setting, I just thought there was a big mistake. I shouldn't be here in the first place. So I don't know what I'm doing here. But I didn't think I was going to be long. When I discovered dancing as a teen, I remember like just kind of, oh, like those, it kind of breathed life into me, and artists and singers especially know this very well. Dancers absolutely is when you combine the vibration of music, the frequencies of music, and with your body, right, where the two connect, like it moves you from the inside. You've seen singers, sometimes they cry as they appear to be completely normal, right? There's a vibration to the hitting when the two come together, super powerful. So, like I said, it just made me take a breath. It made me happy in the moment. I just it's all I wanted to do. And again, because honestly, that's all I wanted to do, and I had to survive. I managed to take it all the way to Los Angeles and make a career out of it, and travel the world, teaching, choreographing, producing concerts. That was Thailand. I was there for 4 months putting a concert. They wanted American style concert with their female pop star, which is the top female. Like Janet Jackson was here at the time. So it's been a good run. So that's phase one of my life. Phase two was in the industry. When you're an entertainer, you travel, you perform, you come back. And when you come back, you teach. That's how you fill up your time. And then and then you travel, you perform, you fly, you're gone for a few weeks, a few months, you come back, you teach. So that's the business model.
Right.
So I had my classes in Los Angeles on my downtime, and I met my wife. She was one of my students. Oopsie. I mean, hello. But she's a beautiful ballerina. She was new in town. She was coming for vacation and kind of didn't leave because we met. Uh, it's another story right there.
Mhm.
But that was phase two of my life. So after I met my wife, and found my lady, we both continue dancing because she's a ballerina. Uh, our careers went on, but when we decided to start a family, I decided to stop traveling at the demise of my agent. Like, what are you doing? What do you mean? Like, I'm like, I'm staying in town. But what are you good? I'm staying in town. I wanted to be present to raise my children. That's what I wanted. I wanted to do it differently than my family did it. So I didn't want to be somewhere around the world where my kids were little and not knowing who daddy is. Like that was unacceptable to me. So I opened a car business in Los Angeles because I'm a car freak. I love cars. I love old cars. They're classics. They made me like they made me salivate with the old ways they used to build them and the outrageous of the body designs in the 60s. I just love it. And there's a lot of them here in Los Angeles because the weather doesn't destroy these cars. Anyway, so fun, 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 fun. Open a car business, and with that, the business the business was 6 minutes from my house, and the school was 2 blocks away. So that allowed me and my wife to be at every recital, every parade, every Christmas, whatever, every Halloween. I would dress up like the Grim Reaper and just like I was able to do this because I'm my own boss, right? And so that was phase two of my life, the car business. And this entire time, though, I've always been in personal development since I was 23 years old. Um, I wanted to challenge myself. I want to know everything. I'm curious about life, especially the human condition, per my own ridiculous conditions as a child. So for me, it was all about digging and trying to get on top of myself in every way, financially, emotionally, spiritually. So workshop. And after my friends thought it was weird because let's go to the beach. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm in a workshop all weekend. You're so weird. I go, yeah, no, I'm good. No, you go to the beach and you get stupid. I'll be learning something. So now it's a lot more common. Back then, it was strange. It was just strange. So uh, in 2006, as I'm the workshop king and I have my business going full on, I had taken my business to the as far as I could with my brain, my knowledge. So of course, I'm in a workshop, a business workshop, learning to expand and blah blah blah. So it's a 3-day workshop in Northern California. So it's up north. 2006, I'd meet some people, obviously, in the workshop. With there for 3 days. On the flight back, this is a life-changing moment that I had no idea that was going to happen. Oh, goosebumps. Yay. Every time. So I'm sitting in the plane with this couple that I met. The lady says to me, we're flying back to LA. She says, what do you do next weekend? I go, I'm free next weekend. Why? She goes, you want to come to a workshop? It's on me. I'm like, of course, absolutely, yes. Right. And then I said, wait, what is it? Because it's a workshop. It's, those things can be expensive. She's offering it to me. I'm going to learn something. If it is about, like watermelon, I'll learn something. And I like to learn. Anyway, so I said, well, where's the workshop? She goes, oh, it's called Understanding Women. Now, when I tell the story to my friends, they always go like, "Oh, really, dude? There's such a thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Really, really? Nobody understands women, right? Women don't understand women." And my reaction was more like, "Oh God!" Like because I'm an artist, I thought actually before because I'm artistic, easygoing, fun, blah blah. I always attract to sweet women, like always. When you meet my wife, you go, "Oh," right? Like you just, "Oh, she's so lovely," right? That's always been what I would have attracted. So I thought it was me. I thought I had something that I thought. So I had this. It's never been a problem for me. I didn't do the screaming and the yelling, and my friends did. Somehow, right? But if you'd ask me why or how, I couldn't tell you. It just anyway. So I thought I had this. That's all I'm saying. So, but I agreed to go to the workshop. So I go to the damn workshop on Saturday morning in LAX by the airport. From okay, I said I was going to be there, right? And I remember thinking it was going to be cute. It was going to be fluffy. It was going to be like I don't know. But when I got there was 400 people in the space in a big hotel ballroom. 400 people, 8 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, oh, wait, something's going on here. Not cute. Something is for real here. And sure enough, the workshop started and understanding women led by a woman, Alison Armstrong at the time. And there was 100 men in the space and 300 women, which I remember thinking it was really strange. Like, what are the women doing here? You know what I mean? Because if you had a workshop called Understanding Men, you would not find one man in that space. It'd be all women, right?
Yeah.
So I remember thinking this is a little weird, and whatever, let's go with it. But they actually very clever. They put women all around each man, so we're surrounded by women. You know, uh, clever, and it was a point for that. Anyway, so as the workshop went on, and she's teaching us this, I slipped off my chair at least 7 times over the workshop. I like slipped off my chair onto the floor, like. And then she'd go, if just so you don't, she would stop the workshop and say, just, if so that's not me, the crazy woman in front, telling you stories. Take 5 minutes and check with the ladies around you. So I'd pick myself up on the floor, and I remember there was a 19-year-old on my left, on my right, there was a mature woman on my left, and I go, what? And she go, yeah. I'm like, but that's crazy. Like, how do you, that's how we are, right? And they on both sides, like confirming what I just learned, which was
Yeah.
mind-boggling, baffling. Anyway, so out of the workshop, I realized I knew nothing about women, like nothing, Mr. Whatever, Mr.
Yeah.
Swag, Mr. Cool, like nobody and nothing. I knew nothing. The way you function, where you process things, why you take things personal, like all these things that I was blind to, which meant this was a panic button that happened, which meant I knew nothing about my wife. And I realized this. Now I have a young family, I have a toddler and a baby. I have a lovely my princess is with me. Everything's doing fine, but I realize how dangerous not knowing her, how she functions, why she thinks, how she processes, why she thinks things personally. That was a liability. So I was not going to be a liability because I didn't know, right? That's my brain exploded into I have to know all this. It was just for us. And originally it was for us. So to make sure that I wasn't going to mess it up because I didn't know. All my siblings are divorced 2, 3 times. One's on 4. I have my family, my angel. I'm not going to mess that up because I didn't know, right? So off I went. So I took all this company's curriculum. I took all their workshops. After I took the workshops, you could actually go back and assist the workshops for free, right? So I went. I was assisting every weekend just to get it in, to integrate it and hear it differently, and just wanted to eat it all up. Became on track to be a workshop leader for that company because I'm a teacher at heart. So it's just a very just slip over. Anyway, so that was the beginning of that. It was for us, for me, for my family, uh, to not fail, to not be a statistic. And then the more I learned, I ended up with 4 of the masters in the field, that Dr. John Gray, Mars and Venus, Shanti Falhan in the South about love and respect, Esther Perel, who's now huge. At the time she was kind of unknown, French therapist in New York City, and then Dr. Pat Allen here in Los Angeles, who's a family child marriage counselor for like 48 years, sat in a room with this woman with 3 other people, the 4 of us, 5 of us, depending on the cycle of the 3.5 years in seasonal bits, sharing and learning everything she'd learn in her entire career. Incredible. Like, so that's phase 3. And on the other side, at the business, people would like, I'm the kind of guy for some reason and that people just open up to, like, open up to. So even in my car business, as this kind of landed in me, that people would crack open in my office, and so much so the employees knew if the door's closed, don't come in, somebody's crying, right? So the machine started organically from there. So much so that eventually I had to sell my business. It was taking me away from this business. And again, the God calling was, this is your mission. This is where you're up to. This is why you're here.
Yeah.
Took me 50 years to get here, wondering why I was here. And this is why you're here. And this is the big calling. Woo! So phase 3. Bye-bye. Sorry, it's a long story.
Okay. All right, cool. Firstly, let me apologize. Thanks for sharing all of that. Let me apologize. I don't normally go straight in with a question without properly finishing off the introduction. So
Okay.
I just wanted to say welcome, Andre. It's amazing to have you here. And thank you so much for sharing phase 1, 2, and 3. I as soon as I sort of looked you up, I was like, oh, I'd love to know a bit more about how. I know you said like the dancing thing. Like I'm a singer as well, so I get the whole creativity
Ugh.
thing. So how did you mentioned your rough childhood? So how did that translate into you then working with these amazing people around the world? Do you
Yeah.
think you had more tenacity because of that?
Oh my goodness, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because I was 5 years old when I realized I'm a visceral moment and goosebump again. Like every time I think of that, the picture in my head, 5 years old sitting in the stairs, something just again, another thing had happened, and I kind of put it together. Like my thoughts and my feelings kind of came together. Right before this is just confusion, and it's just kind of poop. And I saw it. I'm like, I don't belong here.
Mm.
Like I'm born with the wrong family, which I explained that to me, right? Like it was visceral. Like I don't belong. These are not my people. They don't like me. I don't know who I am. I don't know who they are. This is just weird. So it was kind of, it was freaky. It was terrifying. Um, so it was up to me. I was gonna have to do it. I was gonna have to take care of myself, defend myself, raise myself on some level, even though I felt safe because my dad provided really well, but emotionally I don't. There's a big mistake here. It's like I don't know how somebody could be born in the wrong family. I don't know how that happens. But that moment, I started watching human beings. I started literally watching people like a hawk, just trying to understand life, people, circumstances. So I became, with that, fascinated with the human condition, right? Again, to explain my life or my story, just trying to make sense of it. And then the resilience that came from, like, I'm on my own, right? I'm going to take care of myself. Like, I have to take care of myself. And I remember 7 years old, for some reason I was the first one up in the morning. My older brother was in college. So I remember he would get up earlier than me. I could hear him upstairs, making breakfast and then leaving. But I was the second one up somehow. And 7 years old, I would make my own breakfast. I would get myself dressed and I would walk to school. Like I alone. Like there was no nurturing. There was nobody. It was interestingly. So I learned to take care of myself, and that created a lot of resilience. And that's sort of like what carried me through. So the dancing lifted my spirit. And like I said, that was the only thing I wanted to do. And part of it is, and it was a gift of God. The first time I took class, I was 15, almost 16, I believe, in high school. A girl had asked me to dance. I went to a fancy private high school where you could do all kinds of things. That the PE program, physical education program, was intense. And, it was more than football and swimming. It was all these other things that you could pick from. What a blessing. So this girl had asked me you had to sign up for ballroom dancing with a partner. You had to sign as a couple. So this young girl who didn't know, I didn't think she knew I was alive, asked me like, oh my God, I want to do ballroom. You want to do ballroom with me? Oh my God, oh my God. And I remember thinking, oh, wow, she's so cute. Yes, of course. Duh, duh. And so I remember a week or so later in class, the first time I'm holding her in my arms, the teacher's on my right, and I think we learned the cha-cha the first round, and everything he did, I could just copy it. Like it was just kind of there, which is like, that was the gift. That was the thing I had no idea. So I go from invisible geek. Within about 4 months, I'm like stud of the class. All the girls want to dance with me because I have it instantly, and the guys are struggling. I become the teacher's assistant. We start doing performance in school, and then outside the school, and then so from invisible to ta-da, right? And again, that's all I wanted to do. My grades suffer because I didn't care, like nothing. And so that was the launching, but the resilience behind this was the fact that I was doing all this by myself. I, and there was always a pull. It's interesting because the time when I thought, okay, how much more of this do I want to take? Even though, like I said, all I had is dancing to lift my spirit. Right. This every time I'm like, yeah, this is just like, because I'm struggling with my family and my life. I always get this little pull on my chest, like right here, right here. I had this like a little cord that would pull at me and goes, no, no, you got to stick around. This is going somewhere. There's something important is coming. So every time, like this little tug in my heart, no, hang in there. This is gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. There's something important. And so when I was dancing and ended up with the big stars and Michael Jackson, and I thought, am I gonna be a star? I guess that's what it is. I guess all I could see at the time. Do you know what I mean? Like a dancing star, which there's no really such thing. So it didn't make sense, though. I did it. And then when I opened the business, the car business, obviously that was not going to be the case. So, but that little tug was always there. And, I was a start to my customers. But anyway, so now, like I said earlier, the getting here and, being the gift of, everything that I resisted, or not resisted, but sort of went through to get here is the point. And now the pull, the tug, the big mission is my work in changing the world. Really, it's the mission is to change the world, to bring hope to the masses about this is very doable. It's actually quite easy when you understand it. But what's in our culture is making people struggle in relationship. It's difficult to attain, impossible almost to sustain if you buy into the crap that's out there. And so the mission is to kind of undo this. Sorry, I'm just
No, no,
you
no,
get me
no,
go.
no. Yeah, I know. I can see the passion is coming out of every pore of your being. But before we get on to that, because I am intrigued, obviously, because it's my world as well. How did you go from all of a sudden stood in school dancing? It's just natural. It lifts your soul and everything else. What was that audition that got you into, oh my God, all of a sudden I'm dancing with some incredible people?
Well, it was a journey. It was step by step.
Yeah.
because I was raised because I have four siblings, lawyer, now judge, CPA, dancer, CPA, right? Talk about black sheep, right? But again, circumstances. So I'm raised in a family system where you have to go to school to make something of yourself, otherwise you lose it, blah, blah, blah. So what happened is after I finished college, about 3 years into dancing with performing all this stuff, I I had enough. So I jumped on the plane one morning and I flew as far as I could away from all of them. And so I ended up in Vancouver, Canada, on the other side of the coast, just to get away from them.
Wow.
And again, that was a kick in the head because I was 19 years old. I have no schooling, no money, no resources, and no connections. I have nobody to help me. And I just learned to speak English. So I'm struggling with even communicating. So and uh, so God, that was a kick in the head. Whew. Uh, But at one point, I had a roommate, and we used to go dancing because that's what lifts my spirit, right? We go to the club every time we could, midweek, weekends, just like again, that's all that. And my roommate was a girl. I used to work at IKEA with her. She said, you are born to dance. You have to be doing this. You have to be doing this. I'm like, okay, whatever, right? I'm trying to survive here. So one morning, actually, she woke me up because we'd found this studio downtown, and she said, "We're gonna go take a jazz class." I'm like, I'm not a jazz dancer, I'm a ballroom dancer." She goes, "I don't care. We're taking a jazz class." Went to jazz class, took jazz class. Very different, right? The stretching, the conditioning, the muscle toning, like all. I mean, we don't do this in ballroom. In ballroom, we change your shoes, right? Like, so, so uh, it was super challenging, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So I ended up going to class every Saturday for a few weeks, and she dropped out, right? It was my thing, but I kind of got hooked to like that feeling again, music, movement. I mean, it takes forever to train a commercial dancer. But again, the track was 3 months into me showing up at the studio once, twice a week. I got a scholarship.
Wow.
Like, come and dance with us, dance for free. You know what I mean? You have, like they saw talent at 3 months. Anyway, so again, there was a gift there. Then thank God. And so, and then this is what started. I was still thinking somehow I'd have to go to school to make something of myself. I had to settle down and kind of, get my life together. But I'm dancing, and I get a scholarship and a scholarship and a scholarship and a scholarship and a scholarship. I mean, it's never stopped. Like it just kind of took me. And after a while, I'm like, I think I should give this a try because it's calling me. Like it's doing it without me. You know what I mean? The kicker was I went to a if I want to do this for a living or if I want to do this seriously on some level, you have to go back to classic stuff. So you have to go back to ballet for alignment and strength and, all that stuff. And that's not what I want to do, but it's right. So I ended up auditing a ballet school, which is very prestigious. It's the Go Ballet in Vancouver. It's like a pink castle. They're from Korea. It's, intimidate the hell out of most people. So, but you could audit a class, you just jump in and you see, if you're like, they gave me a scholarship. Like, what the hell? Right. And I remember thinking, like, that's not even what I want to do. But I understood then from their perspective that I'm built for this. Like, everything about me is built for dancing. My hips, my shoulders, my dimension, my proportion, my skeleton, my turnout, my feet. Like, okay, well, so that explains kind of everything that's been happening. But this was the moment when I thought, like, this is kind of like pulling me in on this track. So I thought I'll give it a couple of years. Do you know what I mean? Just to see, because I'm not going to be the guy that says, I don't want to spend the rest of my life thinking, what if I had taken a chance? So I've said, keep it a couple of years and see what happens. And sure enough, it just, I ended up, the story when I got from Los Angeles is a whole other story. I don't know if you want to go there, but like the ridiculous, like serendipity of things that look like I was just a lucky dude who kept getting lucky, lucky, lucky without even trying. It's then after a while, it's like, dude, this is just you got to go with this, And Los Angeles on a vacation, and I get scouted in a freaking club, like a Hollywood story. I was here on Thursday night and Saturday night. I get a job. I get picked out at the crowd in a club, and that was my first professional job. Just like, and that was like, okay, now I'm getting paid to dance. you know, it's on. And so that it was just this kind of journey. It just happened to me. And I can't explain it except that's all I wanted to do. Maybe there
Yeah.
was the intention behind that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah. It sounds like everybody's dream. If I think of my own,
No,
yeah, if I think of my own journey, when I was semi-serious about singing and being in a band and all the rest of it, but I didn't have the self-belief really.
huh?
It sounds to me like, and I'm sure you're into the universe, law of attraction, and all that sort of thing. It sounds to me like you were just in the moment without really any expectations, right? You were just being you. You were in your essence, and
Yep.
therefore everything just came.
It's pretty magical. And again, you know, it's not forced, not planned, just kind of it just kept like I did what turned on, you know, the light inside of me is the way I can explain it. You know, again, that's the only thing that made me smile. That's the only thing that sort of connected me to spirit, my own heart, and again, the vibration. Oh, I can't explain. You know, this as a singer, right? When it all connects, my goodness, like this is like it's a high. It's a high. And again, what I realized years later is that this actually dancing saved my life in that way because by upping it changed the chemistry of my body and my brain, literally, right? Dopamine, endorphins, feeling good, hormones that come from being exercising and again, dancing plus music plus the excitement of that plus the timing, the rhythm, right? So I literally healed my brain through dancing. And so on the other side of this, when I wanted to be here, I enjoy life. I enjoy sticking around, right? And 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 it went from like, oh well, this is okay to like, well, this could be good.
Hmm.
Maybe I could be happy. Maybe I could, you know what I mean? So it was
Yeah.
that my chemistry in my brain changed, and like I said, it saved my life. And so, fortunate, lucky, blessed, absolutely. But like you said, I was just really in the moment. I was in the
Yeah.
moment doing what turned on the light inside of me, and that it was magical. Looking back is yeah,
I
crazy.
love I love that. And I can relate to it's interesting listening to hear you say about it saved your life. It turned you from somebody that maybe didn't want to be here to realizing actually, oh, life's not so
Mhm.
bad after all.
It's okay. Maybe this could be good for a bit. You know?
Yeah.
And
Uh,
that little tug, constantly tugging. When I questioned it, it was like
mm,
So
yeah. So what was your first sort of what you would have classed at the time as a big job, that you went from dancing in that club to
yeah.
then something else?
Like I said, I was here on vacation with my girlfriend. We're in it's not a club, it's like there was a part I was here to help a dance teacher that used to come up to us all the time in Vancouver. Because the business is people traveled and summer school and all this stuff. So he was I was his favorite when he came up to Vancouver, and it would assist him in his dance class when he came and did special events and whatever. So he came on a regular basis. So he'd asked me to come to Los Angeles because he was doing his demo reel. He was like actors and singers, you have a demo reel that you present to get the
Right.
work. So he was building his demo reel, his choreography. So he asked me to come to LA. He says, come for a couple of weeks, stay at my house, bring your girl, and I want you to be dance captain for my demo reel, and we'll put this whole thing together. You'll be in charge of the dancers and rehearsal. And I'm like, yeah. So I'm vacationing in LA with my girlfriend. Um, the studio where we train, it wasn't a club, it was a studio where we train with the dancers. We'd be there. We got in Thursday nights. Friday we had rehearsal. Saturday night at the studio that completely randomly there's a party. So it was a studio party with music and all the dancers in town, the people that I want to be part of. And this is in that space. Then an older gentleman kept looking at me, and I thought he was creepy. And
Yeah.
and I remember thinking, oh, this is Los Angeles, great, right? Because he kept
Yeah.
staring at me until he basically, my friend who actually invited me, um, I'm watching them talk about me in the corner. I'm like, dude, what is this? What are you doing? This is creepy. This is weird. He waved me over, and then the man introduced himself, and he goes, I'm doing this big show. I have a national show I lost one of my dancers 4 months ago. I can't replace him. So I've been auditioning. I can't find a replacement. You're exactly what I'm looking for. What do you say? Saturday night, just dancing, right? So I'm like, what? What? And that's so big national show is what he said, right? So I go, what's the show? It's called Chippendales.
Oh, right.
Straight up, straight up. And I'm like, and this is singer, actresses, dancers. We could be snooty. We could be
Oh
snooty,
yeah,
right? If you,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
well, so a lot of the girls where they go, right, because they're beautiful and sexy, and when and people say, "What do you do?" She come and dance, and they go, "Oh yeah, where do you strip at?" And they lose their minds, right?
Mm.
They lose their mind because that's not what we do, right? So when he says Chippendales, I'm like, oh, dude, like I am not a stripper. I'm a professional, modern, dancer. Like, I'm professionally trained, Rob. And he goes, I get it, I get it, I get it. That's why I need you, by the way. But he goes, how much money are you making being professional, commercial? Damn. I'm like, this, I have a job for you, dude. And I'm like, oh. So it turned out that the show would hire, there was 6 strippers and there was 4 dancers because strippers can't dance. So they would hire dancers who look like strippers.
Right.
Oh, I get it. Again, there's the physicality showing up, and the hair wasn't as long, but I looked like a stripper, but I could dance. So that's why he had a hard time to play. Anyway, so in that moment, he came to see me dance the next day in the studio because it says Dana, my friend who I was there for, had said to him, "Oh, dude, he's just you could just hire him, eyes closed." So he offers me the job Saturday night. Sunday morning, he's like, I should probably shoot dance. So he came by the rehearsal on Sunday morning. And I'll never forget, it was 10:30 in the morning. I saw the black Corvette go to the parking lot. Oh, and it was Steve Merritt. And he's in the viewing window, 5 minutes. He goes, come here. I give the crew a break. And he goes, all right, so we start tomorrow. You're in? I need you. The next morning, this was Sunday morning. The next morning, I was in the studio. We rehearsed for 3 weeks. And then we're on the road. I did that for a year and a half. I had cycles of 3 months, and we touring company because it was a club in Los Angeles, it was a club in New York City, and it was 2 touring companies. One that went up and down the West Coast, another one that went up and down the East Coast. So I was East Coast crew. We went from New York to Florida, back up to New York to Florida, like in 3 month segments. I did that for almost a year and a half until I had to quit because it's just ridiculous. It was just a job, and it was just a job. It's exciting, it's fun. It made me, it made me. Uh, a good chunk of money that I saved because everything is paid for. However, it was as a dancer, you have to keep training, you have to keep your strength, you have to keep your timing, you have to, right? So eventually all I'm doing is, and my life was still waiting for me. So I
Mm.
ended up leaving that job, but that was the launching pad. That was like, now you're a professional.
Right.
You now have arrived, So I came back to LA, I settled, got an agent, and that's how the whole thing started from there.
Okay.
Crazy adventure. Crazy, crazy.
Crazy. What was the best show you ever did with, I know you mentioned Janet Jackson, you've mentioned Michael.
Yeah.
Um, what was the most fun you had in one of those tours?
Well, I'm a doer. I like to be hands-on. I like to be in charge. I like to, I'm type A personality developed by my own adventure in life. Like I can't tell me what to do. So I mean, Michael was great, even though uh we the dance that we do is so simple, right? That it may kind of made me feel kind of, you know what I mean? I didn't even understand how big the credit was at the time. I knew it took 4 days to get that job, right? The 4 days of auditioning to try to kill us. But when we got the job, because they want the best of the best, and they put you through every freaking routine and style and partners and at the end, you have 50 people that all that's the same talents. Um, and they need 10, you know what I mean? Now they split hairs, and I would always end up next to my friend Joaquin, who's same height as me, not quite as muscular, right? But we have the same height, dark hair. And they were always like, at the end, it was me and Joaquin standing side by side, and they're looking at us with our pictures like, which one do we take? Because they're the
Mm.
same. You know what I mean? So to get a job at the end, to be one of the 10 pick is madness. Because we're splitting hairs. They're trying to eliminate us with any kind of flaws, any kind of, from talent to your looks to your height to stand with this girl, stand with this girl, stand with this girl, stand with this girl, stand with her. Okay, can you lift her up? Stand next to him, stand next to him. Anyway, so that was fun just for the competition, but the job was kind of a letdown because it's so easy. Do you know what I
Right,
mean? I
right.
wanted to dance harder. Uh, Prince was the same idea. We started with the whole choreograph thing and we turned into a different show on live because it was trying to make a scandalous thing. You probably remember the performance when he had his butt cut out of his pants.
Mm,
You remember that?
yeah,
MTV Awards. So I'm on the stage next to him. I have the same hair. You'll recognize me right on his left, but we're playing Caligula scenes where they kind of humping each other half naked. That was not what was planned. That happened live because he's trying to like he was trying to create a scandal,
yeah.
something scandalous to kind of pump his career at the time. So we had this whole thing choreographed, and at the end they say, "Here's some underwear. Grab the girl wherever you were standing in rehearsal and just hump her." And in piles, you know what I mean? So okay, choreography, okay, all right, but it's a good credit, it's a good whatever, right? So that kind of stuff. But so my favorite in the end was not the people I perform with, is the stuff that I created. The show in Thailand, I was there for 4 months when I built this concert around this artist, you know, uh, they wanted an American style concert, and I designed and created, choreographed this whole thing. That was something. I remember, when we see goosebumps again when we opened the show in Bangkok because she was touring, so it was a touring. There was her national tour. When we opened in Bangkok in the big uh, arena, just like we do here. Uh, and I was in the sound booth, which is in the middle of the right, the middle of the audience. Do you know what I mean? Like the sound booth with the lighting guys and all this stuff, surrounded with 10,000 people, and to watch this unveiled in front of me, the first show, like I hope it works, right? I was confident, and then to like, and oh, and I remember the producer, not the producer, the this is Grammy Records in Bangkok who produced her, and so and the president of the company was a lady, a lovely lady, and she was sitting in the booth with a few of us as we're watching this unveil. And at one point, I looked at her, and she's all, and I'm like, okay, we win. And I have to tell you, this is probably one of the most satisfying moments in my life.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
It
I
was
can
huge. It
imagine.
was
Yeah,
huge. It was
yeah,
huge. So yeah, hell of a story, man.
yeah. So, so you obviously like, had some jobs you liked more than others, and then that sounds like pretty much pinnacle in terms of your dancing and what you were able to create.
Yeah, the creating part. It was.
Yeah. So then you mentioned obviously when you were talking about first, second, and third. Second was meeting your beautiful wife because
Hmm.
you were teaching.
Yep. You want to know that story?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, go on. I'm a
So,
sucker for a love story.
oh, yeah, that's a hell of a story. Another layer of right. So, after the road and sex, drugs, and rock and roll for a year and a half, right? Because there was madness. It was complete madness. It was party, 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 party. Women, 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 women. Drugs. Like just it was. We danced. We had fun. We ate. We had fun. We had fun. We danced. We did drugs. Animals. Which is life on the road. So, and I realized through all this, it was interesting because I'm a black sheep. I don't fit in anywhere. I live on my own beat. Do you know what I mean? Which is typically offbeat, right? um, though I had a direction. I realized after that segment how traditional I truly was in the inside. I looked like a maniac, acted like a maniac a little bit, but ultimately I realized I'm actually very traditional.
Yeah.
And after doing all these adventures with those ladies, I'm like, yeah, this is kind of shallow and lame and doesn't really connect to anything. And it's just so when I got off the road, I was actually ready to find my lady. I was 27 years old. I'm ready to find my woman. So I'm in dance class and I'm teaching, and my radar was, I could visibly, like my radar was always up. And at the time I was teaching like 14 classes a week. So a lot of women, right? 30, 40, 45 women in class, young women, all beautiful and sexy, right? Where's my girl? Where's my girl? Where's my girl? Radar. And sure enough, I think it was at a Monday 4 o'clock class. I think it's a Monday or a Wednesday. Um, She came in 10 minutes late because the 4 o'clock class is difficult to get to when you're working. And all I remember is I kept the studio lights dimmed out, to warm up, like intimate. And I remember seeing somebody walk behind me. And I remember the kid in the mirror going, I don't know who that is. Right. So I'm leading the class and I turn around and that was it. That was it.
Oh,
That
literally
was
as
it.
soon as you saw her.
As soon as I saw her, like I kind of like when well, like I can't and I can't tell you there's no words for that. Like no, it's not like I recognize her. It's not like, it was beyond us. It was there she is. Like and I still can't fully tell you what that was, except there she is, right? And like, so I'm a guy who's confident. I teach, my whole life in front of people and in front of audiences. I choked. So I had to push my assistant in front of me because I couldn't speak. Like I choked. My ears got hot, my knees got wobbly, and I just kept looking and walking around her like, who is this girl? This is my girl. This is my girl. This is my girl. So funny story because at the time I started dating another girl because I always thought for myself, always thought that when I meet my woman, I'll know instantly.
Hmm.
But my friend, I had a buddy of mine who was married with a little baby that I used to like babysit for all the time. And I asked him like, like, did you know as soon as you saw her? He goes, "God, that's not how it works." Like he told me exactly, that's not how it works. I'm like, well, how's it work? He goes, you need to meet a girl, you like her more, and it's a development. It's so I'm like, oh, so no, like kajoom. He goes, dude, like grow up. I'm like, okay. So I met this girl who reminded me of my girlfriend that actually left when I went on the road because she went home and we never broke up, right? So I randomly meet this girl dancing in a club, for me for fun, just going out. She looked like her, she smelled like her, she like oh, so I'm like, ooh, this is familiar, very familiar, right? And I thought, so I started dating her, but it was going bad. She had all kind of trauma, and she really truly never met me. That was just a thing with the penis that you can't trust, kind of thing, right? That was her life's thing with men. So never really truly. So it was 6 months into that when Kazoom in class. Really? I remember like, really? You gonna do me like that? Uh, so and then but it took me like 3 months to kind of get rid of because I'm not a cheater. I can't double cross anybody. I can't do this. That's not my. I can't. I just can't. So like I said, 3 months. I shake her off. I'm thinking I need to take time to myself because it was kind of end up ugly, and I thought I need to settle. And I thought before anyway. But I would see my wife would come into class 3 times a week: Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Right, 4 o'clock she'd be there, and then I off she went, and I knew her name was Nancy. That's all I knew. But this energy between us was ridiculous. And for me, what confirmed it is one time I had to go to the bathroom in between classes, and we kind of met in the hallway, and she's like, "Hi, baby." Oh, I, I, I was always teaching. I never talked to her. Hi, baby. Oh, damn. Right. Oh, damn. Anyway, so about 3 weeks into me trying to kind of recover from the other breakup, um, I actually had trained myself to kind of not see her just so I could work and stay present in my, teaching. And they were messing up that day. So I did this exercise where they were coming across the floor in twos, right? And I'm yelling at them because they need to spot, and I'm, whatever. I'm in the throes of teaching. And then I see her come at me, like, shenaying, spinning towards me, like from across the room. And I'm like, what are you waiting for? Idiot. Somebody else is gonna swoop up. Look at her. She's amazing. Like, what do you like? So that was on a Monday, I believe. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna ask her out. Like it's time. You know what I mean? Anyway, long story short, because I can give you all the details, it was really fun. But I get her on the phone. All I do is her first name, and know nothing about her. I says, I'd like to get to know you. Like, how about we get a bite to eat on Friday after class? And you know, okay, sure, absolutely, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm all excited for that class on Friday morning, Friday afternoon. I'm excited because after class, the two classes, I'm going to go and have a date with this angel that I know nothing about. But a girl in class, and one of the girls of my regular students who is LA style girl, she's like, "You in a good mood?" I go, "Yeah, I have a date." Right. And my idea of dating is like, get away from me because she was kind of at me. I have a date. I was happy to tell her this. And she goes, "Oh, really?" With who? I go, with, Nancy the ballerina, right? She goes, what? You have a date with Nancy Ferraro? I'm like, well, is that her name? I don't know. But yeah, the ballerina. Yeah, that's her name. She goes, so you have a date with Nancy Ferraro? I go, yeah. She goes, she has a boyfriend. They've been together 4 years. They plan to get married.
All right.
And right, kick in the face. So now I don't know what the hell's going on, right? This whole thing between me and her that I thought was magical, right? Like all of a sudden, like there's a different story, but I do nothing. I never even thought of that. I had to take care of mine, and then
Yeah.
so anyway, sure enough, I was kind of thrown, and I took her. We went out for a bite to eat, but she knows something is wrong because I'm like I'm quite mad,
Yeah.
right? Because I feel a bit con and stupid. So So first thing I say to her is, so she's, how was your day? Because you could tell I'm off. I'm like, my day's great. How's your boyfriend? I can't help it. I couldn't help it. So she put her head down and she's like, what do you mean? I thought you knew. I said, how would I know? I don't even know your last name. I just found out like 2 hours ago. Like, I don't know anything about you. And that's why we're here. And so you have a boyfriend? Yeah, well, it's kind of, like, okay, whatever. So I kind of like let that go, except the next week in class, she's still buzzing at me, right? We still have this energy. And I thought, well, if she's just flirting and she thinks now I want more, and like you stop flirting, right? Because flirting is normal. So, but she's not. And we hear some of that stuff. And so she cons me, calls me at my house and says she wants to talk to me about choreography and music. We should go for lunch. So, okay, what the hell is this now? Confused, edgy. We go for lunch. And I was I bought a friend's car to impress her. I was wearing leather pants to impress her. I just like I became into a kind of cheesy, douche just because I've never been insecure in my life. And I just everything about her just made me kind of weird and stupid. So the fake car, the jean, the leather, my God. Took her for lunch and kind of, why are we here? She goes, actually, I don't have anything to talk to you about. I just want to be with you. I lost my mind on the spot. She should have actually run out the door because I literally lost my mind. I'm like, what are you doing to me? Like, and the story I just told you, I kind of spilled out on her like 3 months ago, and this thing between us, and then baby, hi baby in the hallway, and then and then you have a boyfriend. Okay, fine, let it go. But now you're here because you want to be with me, or you want to talk to me, or you want to spend time with me. You still have a man. Like, what are you doing to me? I said, I don't know. This is how I feel. This is what's happened to me. And she should. I knew it. I stood up. I mean, I lost my mind in the restaurant. I'm standing up, like kind of just losing it. She should have ran. But I'm looking at her. She has a smile on her face. And I'm like, what are you smiling about? This is crazy. What are you doing to me? And she's like, I feel the same way. I just didn't know what to do with it. I'm like, oh. And at that moment, like, so that moment, like, I realized I wasn't crazy. I didn't make it up. It wasn't wishful thinking. It was all real, except she, like me, was stuck in a situation
Yeah.
that I took care of, right? And I remember like this, I had a Zen moment, like I just got it all like, and it was like just a knowing. And I go, you know what? That's fine. I go, you go take care of that. You go take care of that because one way or the other, you're mine. Whether it's going to take a week, it's going to take a month, take a year. You go take care of that, and I'm here. You're my girl, right? Just 3 weeks later, because she went home and she had to had the conversation. He was mean to her. She ended up walking the street. She called me at midnight. She was walking around crying because he was mean. And so I remember I swooped her up. I picked her up in the car, took her out of my place. I was living in a pool house, Paradise, in the backyard of the property, and we spent the evening by the pool. And uh, we kind of got going. And halfway through, I stopped her. I'm like, we're not doing this. You have to go finish this. Whatever that is, you have to finish it. I'm not starting crooked with you. I'm not that guy. I'm not like, this has to be clean. If you're my woman, I want this to be set up on the right foot. And so off she went. And 3 weeks later, I picked her up again. She moved out and at her own place, but she really, from that moment, never left. She was with me from that moment on, never left, never went home, never went to her apartment. She was with me, just never left. That was it. That was it. We got married 2.5 years later. Two
Wow.
kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so like for me because I've been married and divorced and
Mm,
my last relationship was actually with a friend of 23 years and a musical partner, and that ended up not very nice at all.
mm.
So to hear your story, and it must have been so difficult for her 4 years into that relationship, and all of a sudden she meets you, and she's like, "What the hell am I supposed to do now?" Um,
Right.
yeah. So did
Uh,
she feel the same? Was it like boom for her when she sort of walked in?
well,